Senator Anandaraja.
Thank you, Deputy President, and I thank Senator Pocock and colleagues for moving this important motion on CSIRO. CSIRO is indeed a national asset, and as a peak institution, public institution in this country devoted to science, we will always support it. This stands in contrast to the climate deniers on the opposite side, who now seem to have discovered a genuine interest in science. It's entirely hypocritical for them to be now clutching their pearls and their chests and wringing their hands in anguish over imminent job cuts at CSIRO. You have no credibility whatsoever. The story of CSIRO is not one of government job cuts. It is, unfortunately, a story of mismanagement. Indeed, 4 days ago, a whistleblower declared to the Fairfax papers that there were problems evident at CSIRO 5 years ago. The Morrison government, during the pandemic, injected an additional $459 million over 4 years into CSIRO. And this funding boost led to a huge increase in CSIRO's headcount. The headcount swelled by nearly 1,400 staff between 2020 and 2024. So in other words, CSIRO went on a recruitment drive, a massive recruitment drive with this additional funding. What also happened during that time is that employee benefits, CSIRO's largest expense, jumped by 30% since 2019. What is unfortunate here is that, and this is a quote from this former senior staff member, who says, there were no real projects for them to work on. And so when 2024 clocked on and there was effectively a funding cliff, and this near $500 million that had been injected into CSIRO had been effectively squandered. Now, the new management have come on under the stewardship of eminent scientist and a fine Australian, Professor Doug Hilton, and he's had to do some housekeeping. Him and the independent board that stands at arm's length from the government have had to do some housekeeping. I just want to make it clear, any institution, whether it be scientific or otherwise, that receives public funds must be held accountable. It must be held accountable. Even though it is a peak scientific body, it is not a protected species. No one that receives taxpayer dollars in this really challenging fiscal environment is a protected species. And so the board did a review, the first strategic review in 15 years, and that tells you everything you need to know, and decided that there needed to be a realignment of CSIRO's priorities with our national priorities of this government. And so, as a result, unfortunately, I think due to the mismanagement of the previous administration, a number of people are now likely to lose their jobs. I will say, in terms of these people, bear in mind that this Albanese Labor government is establishing a number of statutory bodies next year. From January of next year, the Centres for Disease Control will kick off, the first ever Australian Centres for Disease Control. And that is going to require people with expertise in infectious diseases. Professor Hilton has already declared that a priority will be One Health, animal health as well as human health and environmental health. And this will be an absolute focus of the CDC. There's no tackling infectious diseases unless you tackle threats to animals as well as the broader environment, because that's how pandemics emerge. In addition, provided this Parliament works together and passes our environmental laws, we will be standing up a National Environmental Protection Agency. So those workers who are likely to lose their jobs in the environmental aspect and sector of CSIRO will have the potential to enter an EPA and an Environment Information Australia, an EIA as well. We would need their expertise. In addition to that, we have just announced the establishment of a National AI Safety Institute, a body that will rest within the Department of Industry, and that will absolutely need scientists with expertise in AI and quantum and mathematics to be able to, again, scan the horizon for threats. So there are opportunities here for those scientists.